Alright guys, so this is our video reviewing applying our trig ratios that is on page 56A in your notebook. So I'm going to work through each of these flappies and you make sure that you add to or complete your foldable. So the first thing we're going to start with is sine, and remember sine is opposite leg divided by hypotenuse. We're going to open this. Now, the sine of A, the opposite leg, and this is leg, leg, hypotenuse. So the opposite leg is A, lowercase a, and the opposite side, or the hypotenuse is lowercase c. B, the sign for B, the opposite leg would be lowercase b, and the hypotenuse would be c. Now you use the trig ratios to find a missing side or angle. Now the way you know you use sine is if it gives you the hypotenuse and the leg opposite of the given angle. So we look at 80. We're looking for the leg opposite of 80. Or adjacent. We're trying to figure out what they gave us. And they gave us the one that is opposite. So we would say the sine of 80 equals opposite divided by hypotenuse. And now remember, trig functions are ratios. So you need a fraction in your problem every time. And the way we get rid of this is we multiply both sides by the denominator. So we're going to multiply both sides by 30. And you have x equals 30 times the sine of 80. Now since we don't know the sine of 80 off the top of our head, what we're going to do is we're going to plug it into our calculator. I'm going to use this type of calculator. If you have a different one, then come to zero period and we can look at it together. But I'm using this one. So I do 30 times the sine of 80. 29.5, and we round to the nearest tenth. So that gave me that side length. Now again, the reason we know that we use sine is because we looked at our triangle and we said, okay, they gave us the hypotenuse, we know we're going to have to use either sine or cosine, and x is the leg opposite, so we use sine. Now for this one, they give us this angle, they give us a hypotenuse, so we're going to have to use sine or cosine. We look, this leg is opposite. So opposite divided by hypotenuse is sine. So we're going to do the sine of 42 equals 35 divided by x. Now we have to get rid of our fraction. So we're going to multiply both sides by the denominator, which this time is x. Now we still need to get x by itself, so we're going to divide both sides by the sine of 42, just like you would if it was 2x. So we're just dividing by the sine of 42. So in my calculator, I'm going to do 35 divided by the sine of 42. Dun, 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 52.3. Now the extra problem that I want you to work on tonight, that is your homework, for this section, for sine, looks like this. We have x, we have 25, and we have 47 degrees. That's your homework problem. If you need to pause the video here because you want to work it out, that's fine. Moving on to cosine. Now we know that cosine is adjacent divided by hypotenuse. So it's the adjacent leg divided by the hypotenuse. And we're going to open this. Now, cosine of A is adjacent leg divided by hypotenuse. What leg is adjacent to A? It's lowercase b. The hypotenuse is C. For B, the leg adjacent is A, and the hypotenuse is C. Alright, so now we're going to look at the problem that they gave us. We know that this is our angle, and we know they gave us a hypotenuse, so we're either using sine or cosine. Well, x is adjacent to it, so we're going to use cosine. So we write it as the cosine of 32 equals x divided by 25, because it's adjacent divided by hypotenuse. Now we need to get x by itself, so we have to get rid of our fraction. We're going to multiply both sides by 25. And that gives us 25 times the cosine of 32 equals x. We don't know what that is, so in our handy dandy calculator, we're going to type in 25 cosine of 32. 21.2. If you need to pause it, pause it. We're going to work out this problem now. Alright, so I have 35 as my angle. They gave us the hypotenuse, and they gave us the leg adjacent, so I know I'm going to work it out using cosine. So I'm going to do the cosine of 35 equals the adjacent leg, which is 30, divided by x. And that's 30, not 36, sorry. Now I've got to get rid of my fraction. So I'm going to multiply both sides by x. And that gives me x cosine of 35 equals 30, because that cancels. Now I need to get rid of my cosine of 35 because I still have to get x by itself. So it's just like up here where we worked out sine. We're going to divide by the cosine of 35. And since I don't know what this is, I'm going to plug it into my calculator. So I'm going to do 30 divided by cosine of 35. And I'm putting it in parentheses just to be safe. So that gives me 36.6. Alright, the homework problem that I want you to do for cosine . Alright, and now I'm moving on to tangent. Now this is the last part of this foldable. Tangent is opposite leg divided by adjacent leg, which means we're not using the hypotenuse in tangent at all. So I'm going to look at A. And for my tangent for A, I need the opposite leg divided by the adjacent leg. So that's lowercase a divided by lowercase b. Alright, for B, I'm going to do the tangent of B, which is lowercase b divided by lowercase a. So these are reciprocals of each other. Alright, now we're going to come over here and we're going to work out our problem. Now, the way we know that we need tangent is because they did not give us a hypotenuse in this problem. So I'm going to say the tangent of 32 is the opposite divided by the adjacent leg. Now I have to get rid of my fraction. And that gives me 12 tangent 32 equals x. I'm going to plug this into my calculator. 12 tan 32. Ooh, I did something wrong. Okay, so you have to put the times. I got crazy on it. I don't know what happened. So you do 12 times the tangent of 32, 7.49, so that's 7.5. Alright, now I'm going to work out my other problem. We know we use tangent because they don't give us what? The hypotenuse. So I have the tangent of 43 equals 17 divided by x. Now I got to get rid of my fraction, so this time I'm going to multiply both sides by x. And I get x tangent 43 equals 17. Now I need to divide both sides by the tangent of 43. And I'm going to do 17 divided by, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in parentheses, the tangent of my angle, which is 43. Oh, Blair. 18.2. Now your homework problem that I want you to work out for tangent. We're going to call this 26 degrees. We're going to call this x. We're going to call this 14. Alright, so make sure you fill this out. You've worked out your homework. Bring it ready tomorrow so that we can check it. Have a good night.